If you can build, then you can serve multifamily. That's not the debate. The debate is whether you can operate inside of a portfolio because multifamily isn't a pile of projects, it's a managed asset system. And the hidden advantage in that system is simple. Once you earn trust, work doesn't just repeat. In buildings, they just begin to multiply across that entire portfolio inside all those communities. And that's why the gap between contractors who dabble in multifamily and the contractors who scale in multifamily, it's not skill, it's the mindset. The shift from contractor mindset to asset partner mindset is what separates the hunters from the farmers. I want to say this as clearly as I can because the contractor mindset is not wrong, not at all. It built your business. It's job focused for a reason. You bid it, you win it, you run it, you close it, you move on. It rewards speed, it rewards craftsmanship. It's problem solving under pressure. Multifamily doesn't cancel that. Multifamily just adds a layer on top of that. And that layer is that you're not stepping into one job, you're stepping into somebody's operating model. Most contractors hear portfolio when they think more doors, which is true. But the real difference is a standard. A portfolio is multiple assets managed under one set of expectations. And that means timelines repeat, reporting repeats, budget follows patterns, risk is tracked constantly. So the portfolio doesn't evaluate you the way a one off client does. They're not only just asking, did you do great work? They're asking, did you reduce friction for our team? They're asking, did you protect our schedule? They're asking, did you handle residents without creating escalations? They're asking, did you make it the next decision for us easier to hire you? That's the structural advantage I think that a lot of contractors miss as they're trying to really scale. And in multifamily, the unit of value isn't the project. The unit of value is stability inside of that system. In multifamily, you're not competing to be the best contractor. You're competing to be the safest decision. Price, of course, matters, but predictability often matters more. The management team is measured on consistency. They're measured on how fast units rent when they turn over. They're measured on the resident experience. They're measured on whether projects create drama. So if you show up like a bid only type of vendor, you're going to feel like you're always getting to be one estimate away from being replaced. And if you show up like an asset partner, you stop selling your scope of work and you start selling certainty, then that's going to work. Hunters win jobs. Farmers will earn placement. Hunters keep the pipeline full through effort, and farmers keep the pipeline full through trust. Hunters reset after every win. Farmers compound their position across assets because the portfolio prefers continuity. That preference switch is logical. Switching vendors introduces risk. Risk shows up as missed deadlines, resident complaints, surprise costs, internal blame. Good operators avoid that. So the contractors who can reduce risk becomes the ones who they call first. The fastest way to stand out in multifamily is not to promise more, it's to standardize. Portfolios don't want a hero. They want a repeatable, duplicatable process. What they want is to know what happens after they hit send. They want clear documentation that fits their reporting. They want updates that they don't have to chase for. They want scheduling that residents can be respected for their schedule. They want, a closeout that doesn't drag on. And if your message is that we do great work, you sound like everybody else. But if your message is that we run systems that protect your schedule and reduce your follow-up, you're starting to speak the language of the portfolio. That's asset partner positioning. Most contractors who struggle entering into multifamily don't fail on their work. They fail on that operating layer. In a job based world, communication can be informal, but it still works. In multifamily, the system is institutional. The property manager answers to the regional, the regional answers to the ownership, ownership answers to performance. So we'll take care of it doesn't land the same. They need that visibility, they need that consistency, they need that documentation. They need to know that you'll be easy to manage because they're managing a lot. This isn't a talent issue, it's a translation issue. And if your strategy is to land one big multifamily project, you're aiming at the hardest door first. Portfolios adopt contractors through controlled reps. They want to see you on smaller scopes where your process is visible. They're watching responsiveness. They're watching how you handle the residents. They're watching whether you hit schedule timelines without excuses. They're watching whether your closeout of the project is a clean process. And when you understand that, you stop forcing the big win. You start earning the right to be able to expand within that portfolio. And that's how farmers think. Here's the part that should encourage you. The structure that feels heavy is the moat. Most contractors can build, fewer can deliver with predictable communication, clean paperwork, making the residents aware of scheduling and closing that project out quickly. And if you can operate that way, you can become very difficult to replace because you protect the system, not the scope of work. That's why asset partners scale. So, what is the asset partner mindset in plain language? I think it's a contractor that fixes problems. An asset partner prevents problems from becoming expensive. A contractor completes scopes. An asset partner completes scopes that leave the system stronger than when they showed up. That shows up in simple behaviors. You show up when you say you will. You send updates before they chase you. Your documentation is clean enough that nobody has to get back to you. You treat residents with respect because the resident is your client's client. You make change orders clear. You close out your project quickly, not a huge punch list. None of that requires you to become somebody else. It requires you to operate in a way that the portfolio can trust you at scale. And if you're growth minded and multifamily's on your radar, don't start by asking, how do I win a bid? Start by asking how to become the safest decision inside of that managed system. Multifamily isn't a different trade. It's just a different operating environment. And when you shift from that contractor mindset into the asset partner mindset, you stop hunting for one job at a time and you start farming trust across all of the portfolio, all of their assets. And once you see the work the way that the asset sees the work, you'll understand why the right relationship in multifamily doesn't just repeat, it compounds.